Time Walk with Me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Time Walk with me. I am the Time Walker, and this is my very own Gandalf the Grey EDH deck. Gandalf the Grey is a 3/4 legendary avatar wizard that costs 3 generic, a blue, and a red, putting him in the Is It category of multicolor spells. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you choose one of the following that hasn't yet been chosen, at least for this particular Gandalf. Tap or untap target permanent. Gandalf does 3 damage to each opponent. Copy target instant or sorcery that you control and choose new targets for the copy. Or put Gandalf on top of its owner's library. Once the top 3 options have been chosen, the 4th option puts Gandalf on top of your library so you can draw and cast him again and keep the triggers going. It's a bit expensive, especially for colors that don't generally ramp well, but the deck doesn't totally depend on Gandalf, unlike most of my decks that do rely heavily on the commander to work. These cards synergize well with instants and sorceries, whether they benefit from me casting them or having them in the graveyard. Veyran, Voice of Duality. This lady gets temporarily bigger whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, which is good, but she also doubles all ability triggers that go off when you cast an instant or sorcery, even if the spell you cast is countered. Enigma Drake. As the instants and sorceries collect in your graveyard, this guy gets bigger. Storm Skrillex. This guy gets bigger when you cast instants and sorceries, and he makes those spells cheaper to cast. Najal the Storm Runner. That J might have a different pronunciation, but to my American eyes, it looks like Najal. So that's what I'm going to say. Now all your sorceries are instants, and he can copy spells sometimes too. Archmage Emeritus. Replacing all the instants and sorceries in your hand might make this guy a removal target, but if he goes unanswered, he can really help you out with card advantage. He also draws you cards when you copy instants and sorceries. Hullbreaker Horror. This guy is big, annoying, and very hard to get rid of since he can bounce spells back to their owner's hands. You can also use him to return a depleted Gandalf to your hand. The spells that I chose to sling in this deck mostly fit into a few categories. Focusing on a strategy makes it easier to build a deck like this since there's such a wide variety of instants and sorceries in the game. Increasing Vengeance, Swarm Intelligence, Reverberate, Double Vision, Twinning Staff, and Reiterate. I like to load up my Spellslinger decks with spells that create creature tokens, that way I'm not without blockers. Experimental Overload, Masterful Replication, Call the Skybreaker. This spell is cool because you can keep casting it later in the game when you have lands to spare. Ovika Enigma Goliath. This could potentially be an alternate commander for the deck. I was going to make it the commander, but the casting cost was a bit steep. Some adjustments to the ramp section could help with that though, but for me, for now, it goes in the 99. Mascot Exhibition, Elemental Masterpiece, Elemental Summoning, and Song of Totentans. Tot means death in German, and Tans means dance, so this card is Song of Death Dance. Not all of these are instants or sorceries, but I think they're still good. Mystery Key. This is basically 3 cards for 3 mana as long as you can get a creature through. Quicksilver Dagger. Usually I don't do much with auras on creatures because you lose 2 cards when the creature is killed, but this replaces itself in your hand the turn you play it, and it gets you another card every turn after that, along with hurting a player or planeswalker. Arcane Infusion. This is better than a draw spell because it lets you select an instant or sorcery and bypasses draw triggers by putting the card directly into your hand. Reforge the Soul. If you can play this for its miracle cost, it's better than Wheel of Fortune, but it's still good even if you have to pay its full cost, especially late in the game when you might be running low on cards in your hand. Wheel of Fate. You won't have to pay more than 2 for this, but it will take a few turns to resolve. Solve the Equation. This triggers Gandalf and gets you something else to trigger Gandalf again. Practical Research, and Wandering Mind. Refuse/cooperate. With this, you can punish an opponent for playing a big spell, and later on you can use it to copy one of your own spells. Fireball, Lightning Bolt, Counterspell, Resculpt, Wizard's Lightning. Since Gandalf is a wizard, this is basically a lightning bolt as long as he's out. Electrolyze, Raven Form, Abrade, Saruman's Trickery, Volcanic Geyser, Cancel, Galvanize, Shock, Torch the Witness, Negate, Stone Rain, and Molten Rain. I recently heard someone mention bouncing opponents' lands as a way to disrupt their tempo and give you a land advantage, and I think that applies even more to land destruction. I wouldn't feel right about totally shutting someone out of the game by destroying all their lands, but targeted land removal sounds like a good way to gain an advantage without stalling the game too much. Sinister Sabotage, Blast of Genius, and Stone Splitter Bolt. This section is a little light, but I included both mana producers and mana cost reducers. Jace's Sanctum. This makes your instants and sorceries cheaper to cast, and it rewards you with the Scry 1 for casting them. Izzet Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Solemn Simulacrum, Soul Ring, Maelstrom Muse. If this pokes an opponent, it makes the next instant or sorcery cost less. Lotus Petal. Hey, it's 1/3 of a Black Lotus. It even costs 1/3 as much to cast. And Spectacle Mage. Irenicus's Vile Duplication. I don't know why this isn't rare. It copies a creature that you control, and it can even make a non-legendary copy of a legendary creature and give it flying. It's really good. Will Kenrith. This dude can lock down 2 creatures every turn. It makes your instant sorceries and planeswalkers cheaper to cast, and it gives you a cool emblem that copies all your instants and sorceries. I was going to put her sister in too, but there were too many better options that fit the deck's theme better. Time Stretch, Voidwalk, and Teferi's Time Twist. These are here to reset Gandalf so we can use his abilities again without jumping on top of my library. Isochron Scepter. I used to hate this card, but now Power Creep has rendered it fair. And Arouse Zarek. I once got 3 extra turns off this guy. My opponents just ignored everything I was doing until I won. That'll teach them. Mountain and Island, of course. Wandering Fumarole, Temple of Epiphany, Shivan Reef, Desolate Lighthouse, Frostboil Snarl, Lotus Field. This is a good thing for Gandalf to untap. Volcanic Island. Mine is fake, but it's a good fake. I'm not paying hundreds of dollars for a single piece of cardboard, but I'm also not simply writing volcanic on an island either. Exotic Orchard, Thundering Falls, and Thespian Stage. Hopefully I can turn this into a Lotus Field. If you're wondering where the command tower is, I guess I didn't have one on hand. I built this deck completely out of cards that I have available to me, except for Volcanic Island, but I do have a good fake available to me. So that's it. That is Gandalf the Grey. What do you think? Tell me what you think. Give me your thoughts. Give me your entire brain. Just email your brain to me. I don't want to share my email address, so this joke isn't working. Anyway, see you later.